From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fans. Hello, everyone. I'm LeBron James' personal psychiatrist, also known as Jaime Hixson. Usually you see me here talking on the phone with my friend Hector Bosa when he's not here in the studio. Hector, unfortunately, is still suffering from some health problems. We're going to see if he can try and contact us sometime tonight. But in the meantime, we are going to try to take your phone calls at 718-727-0143. And just in case you missed an episode, you can also catch it on our In the Bleachers Facebook page. And you can also catch it on our YouTube page, which is under my personal name. And you can also catch it on Twitter as well. And one other thing. If there is a sports story that you want to tell on our show, then we want to know about it. So contact us through here. You can also contact us through Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. And you can also contact us through Instagram and Snapchat as well. So, as you could probably tell from the background of Citi Field there, Part 1 of the Subway Series just completed last night, and the Yankees wound up taking 2 out of 3 in the series from the Mets. But once again, we have seen a major distancing in personnel and talent between these two franchises. While the Yankees have quite obviously gotten off to a sizzling start with eyes of a championship in their future, once again, the Mets continue to fall back into obscurity and also fall deeply backwards with their future. Unfortunately, the team has had major problems hitting. They still have guys putting themselves on the disabled list. And just after last night's game, the Mets pretty much conceded the fact that some of their acquisitions were not cutting it at all. So the first thing that they did was they wound up releasing Adrian Gonzalez, who was in a 17-game slump. And they also designated Jose Lobaton for assignment. And they wound up bringing back Dominic Smith, which means he is going to be the everyday first baseman until they could decide when their first baseman of the future, Peter Alonso, is going to be ready. Just to give you an idea, Dominic Smith is a .265 hitter for AAA Las Vegas. The stadium that they play in at AAA is known to be a launching pad for home runs. Yet the best Dominic Smith can do playing in AAA is .265. A guy who's so well built and has so much power potential can only manage a .265 average. Meanwhile, Peter Alonso, who got drafted out of Florida, has played 180 games with the Mets minor league system, and he has hit well over 300 and is hitting about 50 home runs in 2.5 seasons. I think it's pretty much said cut and dry where the Mets' future lies at first base. It's with Peter Alonso right now. But as of this moment, Dominic Smith is going to be taking all of the time at first. There's also the issue of some of the injuries that they have. Unfortunately, Noah Syndergaard is back on the disabled list again. Asdrubal Cabrera is hurt again. Yoenis Cespedes once again wound up getting himself hurt doing a rehab assignment. So he's going to be missing more time. Now there's rumors of Michael Conforto going back to the minor leagues to try and fine-tune his swing. Not sure if that's exactly the way that I would go, but It's painfully obvious after this 1-8 homestand that the Mets had, something needs to be done with this team immediately because they built themselves on trying to contend for a playoff spot now. And it has become painfully obvious that this team, as constituted, is not playoff material. And it doesn't help that you have a revolving mash unit on that roster continuing to take place. So you consider this. Now that Dominic Smith is going to be the first baseman, that means that Smith is going to play first. And Ahmed Rosario, who looks to me like he's not even close to being ready to be a major league shortstop, especially at the plate, is going to continue to take the time at short. And now that Asdrubal Cabrera is hurting once again, who's going to be taking up some of the time at second? Could it be Ty Kelly? Ty Kelly wound up getting called up from the minor leagues as well. And this is a guy who's played roughly, 10 years of his career in the minor leagues. So it's gotten to the point where something has to be done with second base right now. And there's also the matter of Jose Reyes. Quite frankly, I'm not happy with what the Mets are doing with this proud young man. Today is his 35th birthday. It was 15 years ago yesterday that Jose Reyes made his major league debut as a Met. Jose Reyes has had quite a career. He's won a batting title. He also managed to have some really great games and really big hits with the Mets. And at one time, he was one of the best shortstops in baseball. He was also one of the quickest shortstops in baseball and one of the quickest base runners in baseball. And after 15 and a half years, it's about time for Jose Reyes to look in the mirror and see that he just is not the player that he was in his days with the Mets and the Marlins. So we know that the Mets want to do this thing delicately with him because he grew up in their organization and all of his proudest moments were with the Mets. At the same time, though, he has to come to grips with the fact that his career is done. He cannot hit. His defense looks deplorable. He butchered 2 plays in one sequence last night. And it was a good thing that Robert Gesellman wound up saving him by getting 2 big outs in the 8th inning, because if not, he would have been the GOAT of last night's game. Bottom line, his swing is not there anymore. And at 35, I know he's a proud guy and he wants to try and extend his career as much as possible, but he's just not doing it anymore. So I think it's about time for Jose Reyes to admit that it's time to step aside and look elsewhere in his livelihood, because he just cannot do it as a baseball player anymore. And quite frankly, it's become really, really embarrassing. I don't want to say sad. Embarrassing what has happened with this Met team. I mean, they went from 11-1, and now they have a 29-34 record after about 60 some odd games. Something has to be done with this team immediately. I don't even know where to begin with this team. Now there are already Jacob deGrom and Noah Syndergaard trade rumors. And if you saw that back page of the Daily News about a week or two ago, the Daily News had photoshopped deGrom and Syndergaard on the same, side by side, standing side by side in Yankee pinstripes. So this is already prompting rumors of Noah Syndergaard and Jacob deGrom going to the Yankees. I really don't buy this at the moment because, quite frankly, I still think that the Mets can build a pitching staff around those 2 young men. Besides, you just don't give up on talent like those. And right now, Jacob deGrom and Noah Syndergaard are probably aces 1 and 1A at this point, and there's no sense in trying to give up on them immediately. It's just a matter of trying to build around those two guys, or maybe building with those two guys. I don't know, maybe it's time for them to bring Seth Lugo back into the rotation, because if you saw what he did last night, Seth Lugo was terrific in a spot start. Afterwards, sorry, but this Jason Vargas experiment has failed miserably. It's time for him to be in the bullpen right now. Who do they go with afterwards? Maybe Robert Gesellman goes into the bullpen. Gesellman has maybe I should say Robert Gesellman should be the one to go into the starting rotation. I mean, he's already been in the bullpen quite a bit, and he's had quite a few problems. He's already blown 5 saves. And he's gotten himself some rather unearned victories coming out of the bullpen. So I think it's about high time that he be sent back into the starting rotation. And with everything else that's going on with the Mets, as far as the bullpen is concerned, once again, Jody Familia has gotten himself hurt. We don't know how much time he's going to be gone. Jerry Blevins cannot do anything against left-handed pitchers. I don't know what it is with him, but it's gotten to the point where he can't even get out left-handed pitchers anymore. He's become extremely erratic. When he's good, he's okay. He's just okay. But when he's bad, it's absolutely dreadful. By the way, I just want to say that Kenny Graham is on the other side of the glass right now, and he's going back and forth between taking the controls and also doing a personal project of his that's taking place in his office right now. And I just got word that Hector is going to be joining us on the phone. So in a matter of moments, Hector's going to be joining us from home so we could talk a little bit further about what's been going on lately. So are you there, Hector?
Yes.
Go ahead.
How you doing?
Good. Go ahead.
The hardest, baddest, sexiest man on cable access TV will be showing himself soon. I've been enjoying my spring break.
Spring is almost over. Summertime is right around the corner.
Then I'm going to enjoy my summer break, too. You know, I have a beef with you.
You have a beef with me? What are you talking about?
Yes. You know why?
Why?
Because when it comes to the New York Knicks, you have blinders, son. Blinders.
You do know basketball season's over, right?
I'm looking forward to the fact that the New York Knicks may actually pick someone good again this year, except hopefully it won't be that Trae Young. Hopefully it won't be a guard. It'll be the wing, Malik Bridges or one of the Bridges boys.
I hate to tell you this, man, but the Knicks are sorely lacking at point guard right now. And whether he's there or not, they may have to look at a point guard.
You know
Would I like to see them get Mikal Bridges? Yeah, because they need a 3-and-D wing as well.
I rather them go for a 3-and-D wing because they do have a lot of point guards. They may not be the greatest point guards in the world, but again, you have a new coach. You have supposedly a new system. Now, we've talked about this in abundance of times. And they've gone through so much transition. This has been one of the worst teams in the league because of all the transitions and because of James Dolan sticking his nose in when it doesn't belong sometimes. And I agree with you on those points.
And you just figured this out after 17 years?
I've always agreed with you on those points.
Apparently not, because apparently you have this fascination with Ron Baker.
Ron Baker, the defensive maker.
Oh, give me a break.
So
Ron Baker belongs in the freaking G League right now. The only reason he's on that roster is because nobody else will sign him.
A lot of people would sign him.
No, I don't think so.
There will be. Here's how I look at it. And here's how the fans, the real New York fans, the real New York Knicks fans will look at it, okay? Here's how they'll look at it, and they'll go, okay, we've had a bunch of mess. We had a mess for God knows how many years.
17 years.
We've made the playoffs. Mike Woodson was the last coach to make the playoffs, and even then he got bombarded out. The Knicks coach have only lasted 3 years. 3 years. Each coach have lasted 3 years, no longer than that. Okay? So, and the GMs have done no better. They haven't lasted more than 2 years or 3.
Unless his name is Isaiah Thomas.
Phil Jackson only lasted 2 years. Everybody else have lasted 2 to 3 years. So when you have a system of that nature that constantly is mixing it up and screwing it up and screwing it up and screwing it up, and then they're trying to win now instead of building for the future. And then James Dolan in the past used to stick his nose into it. Now he's not sticking his nose. He's sticking his nose in other stupidity, such as the Charles Barkley incident. There's actually
That's Charles Oakley, Hector.
Charles Oakley, yes. They actually have a YouTube clip of him sticking his nose, telling the guards, "Come quickly."
We've all seen it, man. We're not trying to revisit that again.
But my point is, when it comes to now, he's not sticking his nose in like he's before. He let them run the team the way he does. So now
he's not sticking his nose in because he knows that if he does, he's going to have reporters coming after him, and he hates dealing with the media.
Exactly. So now that he's learned that part of not sticking his nose in with the team, he's letting Scott Perry and the other gentlemen finally work, trying to get young. We've never tried to get young before. In all the years that the Knicks have tried, they've never tried to get young. They've always screwed it up by making trades, by trying to win now. Even last year, if Kristaps Porzingis was on the team, I've told you this before, he wanted, if he would have smelt the playoffs, he was trying to make them win now. You can't do that with players that they are tradable, but they're not going to get the trades that you want. You're not going to get the big names. Now,
and that's exactly why they're not going to get the big names, because they have zero marketability with any of the guys on there.
Now, Courtney Lee is tradable because there was a lot of people that wanted Courtney Lee last year. There was a lot of people that wanted Joakim Noah last year, believe it or not. There was a lot of people that wanted some of those players.
Well, now Joakim Noah is completely useless and untradeable.
Now, if he's untradeable, then let him play. Let him play, see what he has left in the tank. If he doesn't have anything in the tank, release him in September.
He's played 82 games in 3 years. His numbers have declined badly.
Again, he didn't get
5 points a game.
He didn't get a good shot last year.
He went from 10 points a game his first 6 or 7 years to half that much in the last 3 years.
Again,
you're telling me you want to see what he has left? He doesn't have anything left.
You know why I want to see
he's
what
useless.
He has left? You know why I want to see what he has left? Because he wasn't given a chance. He's always gotten hurt.
Oh, he had his chance, Hector. He just wound up getting hurt at the wrong time.
Not with Jeff Hornacek. Not with Jeff Hornacek. That's all I'm going to say. Not with Jeff Hornacek. Not after that, what the transgression that happened.
You know what? Maybe Joakim Noah deserved to get put in his place the way he did. Because quite frankly, you never ever disrespect a coach the way he did.
You don't really know what happened.
Who knows what happened, but it was probably some knucklehead move that he made, which wound up getting him in hot water.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Should if it's true what the reporter said, should Jeff Hornacek have pushed him?
If Joakim Noah did something stupid like get out of line or dog it during a practice, then maybe Hornacek deserved to do what he did to him.
You cannot touch a player, because if that was the case, then that other dude, that coach got choked out by another player. Oh yeah, that was appropriate, because the coach said something rudely to him, and he took
See,
offense
you
to
can't
it.
be doing it. You're comparing apples and oranges, and that is completely different. Look, if you're talking about Latrell Sprewell is a freaking wacko, okay?
Here's the thing.
And PJ Carlesimo, he had his moments where he was really loud, but he was a really good coach who did not deserve to be assaulted the way he did by Sprewell. Come on now.
Let me lay out the plan for you. Let me lay out the plan and then see what happens. Give him a chance. You've got nothing to lose. The Knicks team right now, according to what you're saying, they're not built to win this year anyway.
They're not built to win next year. They're not built to win the year after that, and they're not built to win the year after that with that roster.
Let me finish. Please let me finish. Because screaming and yelling is not going to get to this.
Well, all you're dealing with is hypotheticals. Hypotheticals is not going to get anybody anywhere.
Let me finish. Because all the reporters do this. You're a newscaster. You should be able to do this as well, not have blinders.
First of all, I'm not a newscaster. I'm just a guy who does a talk show. There's a difference.
But you still report the news. So here we go. Hypotheticals, ESPN does it, WFAN does it, you're a sports show host too. So let's go by this route. Given the fact that you say that they have not that many great players and they have no shot of winning next year the playoffs or the year after, my point, here's how I would look at it. You give Joakim Noah another shot, okay? If he doesn't do well, you let him go in September. That's a plan.
If you wanted to give him another shot, you would make him play in the summer league, and I don't know if they're going to go that route, Hector.
Again, if you're going to use Joakim Noah, this is my plan. At least I can come up with a plan. Unlike certain people who will just go, oh, well, they stink. There's nothing to do with them. You can't do nothing with them. You have to try to do something with them. So my plan is this. The same way they're trying to fix Roman Reigns, this is my plan to try to fix the Knicks.
You're going to compare Joakim Noah to Roman Reigns?
Yeah.
At least Roman Reigns has some skill in the ring. Joakim Noah is washed up.
No.
And they're practically the same age.
If you let me finish instead of interrupting me, then you'll get what I'm trying to get at. Then you can scream and yell at me later. But let me try to finish what I have to say. Believe me, it'll go quick, and then we can talk about other things. Because this is not the Knicks show. This is a sports show. This is a Staten Island sports show. We could be talking about other things as well.
That's because you're making it the Knicks show.
No. But if you let me finish, then we can go on quick. My plan is, first and foremost, get Bridges. Second, assess the team what you have. Okay, you have what you have. All right. Third, Joakim Noah, give him a shot. If he doesn't work for you, you get rid of him. Plain simple English. I'm sure some other team will want him. Now, you may not make the playoffs this year. All right. How do you build a team? By draft choices. You try to trade Courtney Lee, which you'll probably get 2 or 3 good, decent players. Not great players, decent players. And a lot of contracts are going to expire next year. You got Kyrie Irving wanting to come to the New York Knicks. Is that possible? Maybe. I don't know. But if it does, that's great. Kyle Lowe may be another person that wants to come to the Knicks. But it all depends which way they want to go. You have to give them a chance to build. I'm like you to some degree. I've agreed with you in a lot of places. But if this is new management, if the coaches are supposed to be as good as he says he is, then you have to give him a chance, whether you like it or not, because at least I'm coming up with a solution. Because right now I see the team not even, if they're as bad as they seem to be, I don't see them doing anything until 2021. If they go by the direction of getting good players through the draft and getting players by free agency, low ball free agents, somebody that's good enough to do the team. That's how you build a team. We both know this. Now, will it work? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work or not. But at least that's a plan. The Cubs, the Cubs, the Chicago Cubs. You've waited all these years for them to win a World Series, and they finally got the right coach. They finally got the right GM. They finally did it. The Clippers have been horrible. Hopefully they'll get it right eventually. There's a lot of teams that have to get it right eventually. They're not going to go, for God knows 50 years. They're not going to do that. You have to give them a chance.
They've had 45, Hector.
Right, and I keep on saying the same thing. When was the last time they've tried to go young? I keep on asking you, and you never do. And you never give me an answer.
I just told you off the record that it was the summer of '96 when they brought in Larry Johnson and Allen Houston. That's when they tried to go young.
And they actually went to the playoffs. And then after that,
because they had better players then. They had Houston, they had LJ, they had Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley and John Starks.
Now they're trying again. Now they're trying to get. And how long did it take them to get young? 3 years. It took them 3 years to get young and get good. Now they're trying it again. After all those years, from 90-something to now, they've never tried it. Now they're trying it. Give them a chance, and that's all you can think of. If they do it, they do it. If they don't, oh well. C'est la vie. I don't pay their money. I don't pay their tickets. There are some people that are that crazy that they have to. That is a New York team. I root for my New York teams. And at least I came up with a solution. That's, I think, the solution that the Knicks are going by. They're trying to go young. The players that they have now may not be the greatest talent, but hopefully Fitzgerald will get what he can out of them, and maybe they'll be tradable enough to get a number 2 or number 3 draft choice for next year in the second round or third round. You got to build by the draft. You know this. That's how you build a team, by the draft, and hopefully they'll pick well enough. Now, that's for the New York Yankees. New York Mets. Should they trade amongst themselves? Syndergaard or I forgot the other guy's name now.
If you mean Jacob deGrom, then I can answer that for you. The Mets will never even fathom trading either of those two studs to the Yankees. If they were to go to the Yankees, it would be in free agency.
Well, deGrom,
no,
maybe.
Not even Sandy Alderson would consider such a thing. Sandy Alderson's been around a long time. He built a champion in Oakland. He would not even consider sending either of those two kids across the river. And for what? Just to start over again? That's not cutting it. If the Mets want to do anything to try and right the ship, they have to build with those two youngsters. And one of those guys who wound up getting a big victory last night, Seth Lugo, I think should be given more of a chance in that starting rotation. That's number one. Number two, they have a major problem at first base. They already dumped Adrian Gonzalez, who, from what I understand, is close to retirement right now. although I'm not really seeing it just yet. Maybe if he were to go someplace else and fine-tune his swing, he could probably last a little bit longer. There's a kid in the minor leagues, Peter Alonso. He could be the answer for the Mets at first base right now. As far as second base and shortstop and third, they already have Todd Frazier set at third for this year and next. And quite frankly, he's done reasonably well for himself, save for his Mendoza line average. Ahmed Rosario, I'm telling you, the kid looks lost at the plate. He won't draw walks. He's constantly swinging at breaking pitches outside of the strike zone and inside of the strike zone for that matter. And there have been times when he has butchered the most routine of plays. As far as the outfield is concerned, now the Mets are suddenly thinking about sending Michael Conforto back to the minor leagues. That is not the answer. Let him fine-tune his swing here. They have a hitting coach for that. As far as Yoenis Cespedes, we don't know if he's going to be playing another game again because he's gotten himself hurt again during a rehab assignment. We don't know what's going to happen with left field now. Right field, Jay Bruce is another guy who looks lost at the plate. Quite frankly, these Mets right now are a lost cause. As far as their bullpen is concerned, the bullpen stinks. After their closer, who is back on the disabled list again, Jerry Blevins cannot get left-handed hitters out. Hansel Robles is garbage. Other than that, Anthony Swarzak just came back off the disabled list, and he already gave up a first-pitch gopher ball to Aaron Judge. We don't know what's going to be of him for the rest of the season. The Mets look lousy.
So my question to you is the same with the Knicks. How would you fix them?
How would I fix them?
If you were the GM, but you can't say, well, I want this guy, some guy that you can't get. Give me something reasonable.
Give you something reasonable? Get younger at first base. Go with Peter Alonso instead of Dominic Smith.
How do you do it?
Promote Peter Alonso from Binghamton immediately. That's number one. Go against type. The Mets are too scared to do anything with this kid because they don't want to ruin his development in Binghamton right now. They need to create a spark. As far as second base is concerned, hopefully Asdrubal Cabrera can get himself healthy because right now, he's become their best player, specifically at the plate. At shortstop, Ahmed Rosario has got to go back to the minor leagues. They have got to get somebody else to play shortstop. Wilmer Flores, anybody? Wilmer Flores seems to be one of their best contact hitters. Third base, leave Todd Frazier alone. Left field, they have to hope that Yoenis Cespedes comes back from injury because every time he's in that lineup, the Mets are a better team. Let's hope that he comes back from injury. Same thing with Michael Conforto. Let's hope that he can snap out of his slump. As for Jay Bruce, let's see him take a little bit more charge, not just in the outfield when it comes to signaling plays as far as who should be getting fly balls, but also take a little charge in the locker room. Let's see Todd Frazier take some charge in the locker room as well. As far as behind the plate, they also designated Tomas Nido for assignment. Now they have Kevin Plawecki taking the majority of the time behind the plate. Let's see if they can go with a Kevin Plawecki, Tomas Nido platoon behind the plate right now. As far as their starting rotation, if anybody inquires about Jacob deGrom, I would say, no way. I would not trade Jacob deGrom for your entire team. Same thing with Noah Syndergaard. Those two kids are something really special, and they have done all they could to try and solidify the first two parts of that rotation right now. It's just a matter of numbers 3, 4, and 5. Right now, I would make Seth Lugo a third starter because he has become their best spot starter. Jason Vargas has been abysmal. especially in his losses. He needs to be demoted to the bullpen. Who do you make as the fourth or fifth starter? Why not make Robert Gesellman the fourth starter at this point? I mean, it really would not hurt. As far as a fifth starter is concerned, I don't see anybody in the minor leagues that they could probably take and pluck into that fifth spot. So maybe they might have to cut a deal to get a fifth starter right now. As far as that bullpen is concerned, they've got to fix that bullpen. The bullpen looks horrendous. Sorry, but Hansel Robles has got to go. He has done nothing but give up one big hit after another. Jerry Blevins cannot get left-handed hitters out. He's got to have his mechanics fixed. Either that or get rid of him. As far as Anthony Swarzak is concerned, I would give him a little bit more of a longer leash because he just got back from the disabled list, and quite frankly, they don't know what to make of this guy yet. So that's my solution for the Mets.
So do you think that if they traded Syndergaard or DeGrom and they pile up on the minor league system where they have minor leaguers coming up, one or two, if they get one or two minor leaguers that are just about to break out into the system, into the Major League Baseball.
Wait, are you saying should the Mets trade one or the other? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, if they trade them, because they have no minor league system to begin with.
No.
Okay, that's the first thing.
Peter Alonso is their best prospect right now.
But my point is they don't have enough players. They don't have enough minor league system to be able to. Because right now, look how long it took the Yankees to get good with the minor league system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're finally one of the best. It took them about 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, the same thing with the Mets. At one point, they did have a good minor league system. Then they just decided to implode because they wanted to win now.
Yeah.
Well, if you get rid of quality, you have to get quality in return. And you're going to get good quality. If you had to trade them to get quality so that you can fix the team, the entire team, to get more players, because they're talking about 2 for 4 from the Yankees.
Oh, wow.
2 for 4. 2 for 4.
That's a 6-player deal.
Right, exactly. And they're ready to go into the major leagues. Some of them are actually ready to go into the major leagues.
Yeah.
Well, who was it? Curtis Sheffield Jr.?
Justice Sheffield.
Sheffield.
Justice Sheffield, who's one of their best pitchers. Chance Adams, who's another big pitcher. Clint Frazier, who's been up and down between the Yankees and the minor leagues.
So if you get at least 2 of those people plus another 2, then you're starting to build your prospects from the minor leagues up. You have to start with the minor leagues. You can't just go, I'm going to get this person, if like every other team, such as the New York Knicks. You can't just go, okay, I want to get this player if they don't want to come to your team.
Yeah.
You can't do that. It's just simple mathematics. You have to get, in order to get good, you have to trade for good. And you may have to trade one of them. Now, do you think it's the reason why these guys are getting hurt so badly is because that their athletic staff aren't that good? The doctors that they have, the trainers that they have.
Well,
do you think
they've had a long history of questionable medical staff. So technically, yes, part of it is the medical staff. The other problem, especially with the pitchers, they have so much reliance on fastballs and breaking pitches that it puts so much of a strain on the elbow that they don't really use their other pitches, like change-ups or off-speed stuff.
Yeah, and that's what happens because you're only now in Little League, you're only allowed to throw fastballs, and that's it because they don't want you to ruin your arm with change-ups and curveballs.
Yeah.
So, at what point do you start them? That you at 19 or 20, and now that's the only thing that the kid could throw.
Yeah.
So that's another thing you got to consider.
Mm-hmm.
And then my point is, they have to, like every other team that's gotten great, they have to go and suit up for the minor league system all over again.
Yep.
You
And
may
to
have
answer
to
your
trade
question, if I were forced to trade either DeGrom or Syndergaard, I would keep Jacob DeGrom because he is much more durable than Noah Syndergaard is. Syndergaard has terrific stuff, and he is a fireballer like the likes of which we have not seen in a long time. But Syndergaard has already had one major injury that's cost him a whole season. So I would keep Jacob DeGrom and make him my ace.
Yeah, and then hopefully from there you would start up. And then, like I said, you got to start with the minor league system. I mean, look at the Yankees. Look at Chicago Cubs. Look at even though with the Chicago Cubs they were a little different because they had the money to spend.
Yeah.
But they had players already that were good enough that players wanted to play for that team. Because we've always talked about you got to have players that want to play for that particular team. In order, let's say LeBron wanted to go to the Knicks, there'll be players that want to go and play for the New York Knicks because they want to play for LeBron.
And
now,
if the LeBron were to go to the Lakers, then you would have guys
that
like
wanna go
Paul
to the
George, who grew up close to L.A.,
Right.
also signing with the Lakers because he wants to work with LeBron.
Exactly. So it all depends the pieces that you have. It all depends what pieces that you have. Are you willing to want to win a championship, or do you want to go in it for the money? Do you want to have a max contract and be on a losing team, or do you want to not make so much money because you've already made enough money in the past?
Well, that's
And
the
win a championship.
$64,000 question that should be asked of every single athlete in a team sport. If you're going to change teams, is it because it was a payday, or is it because it was a better situation where they could try to win a championship? LeBron won 3 titles, 2 with Miami, 1 with Cleveland. If he's going to move again, and from what I've been seeing on the internet, there's a strong possibility he will. Is it going to be because his career is set and he just wants to get a big payday? Because technically he could earn a lot of money if he re-upped with the Cavaliers for next year. He could earn $35 million with the Cavaliers next season.
But do they have a team? No, because they've already lost to the Golden State Warriors so many times that they got to do something.
3 times in 4 years, the Cavaliers have lost to the Warriors. So something's got to give here.
And with the salary cap, remember, you got to deal with, again, the salary cap. And the salary cap, that's why a lot of teams are rooting for 2019 more than 2018 because there's going to be a lot of free agents in 2019. Draft choices are going to be made. Draft picks are going to be picked up next year.
See, this is exactly why baseball is in much better shape financially and structurally wise than football, basketball, and hockey. Because baseball has no salary cap.
They have a luxury tax.
There is a luxury tax, which means if a team goes overboard with spending money, they got to pay a tax. Maybe, just maybe, the other 3 sports should follow the same example that baseball does. No salary cap, and you pay a luxury tax if you go overboard. But then again, that's just me.
Yeah, but then how would the smaller teams would compete?
How would the smaller teams compete?
How
The
would
same
the
way that
smaller
you
markets
suggested
compete?
before. Compete by using the draft system and building their farm system through the draft. That's why the Royals won the championship in 2015, because they built with a real plethora of good players. And that's exactly what the Astros did when they won last year, because they drafted Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve, George Springer, Dallas Keuchel, and also made side deals for guys like Carlos Beltran, who's now retired, and Justin Verlander.
But the other thing that you have to remember is, at what point do you go and say, all right, let's say that you came up with the Kansas City Royals, and they're not doing so hot. But you're
Like right
the best
now.
player. So you have to up and leave, and you want to go play for another team. And that's what happens. What good is sometimes, there are players that'll stay because they enjoy where they're at. And then there are players that go and say, you know what, I'm not going to get nowhere here. I might as well go to another team and start afresh, make me more money, or win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how people are nowadays, because you don't have the Dallas Cowboys, the Pittsburgh Steelers. You don't have those great teams anymore.
Because free agency and their salary cap system has changed the sport.
And, but they're getting paid for a rough sport.
Yeah.
They have to get paid for a rough sport. Okay, so here's how it has to go down. You have to give up something. Like I said, when you're dealing with salary caps and people's contracts and so on, people can say, oh, I want this guy and I want that guy. But by the laws of baseball, football, basketball, lacrosse, whatever sport, they still have a salary cap. They still have to follow some type of rule.
Yeah.
And
that's why baseball works.
Yeah, and when you have to follow rules, because I can tell you flat out now, some of those contracts that some of these players have, and I'm going to include the New York Knicks on this one, they've made some horrendous moves, and they can't do nothing with their contracts. They can't do nothing. They can do something, but they can't do nothing.
I've been roasting the Knicks forever, but you know what? We have not even touched on the Brooklyn Nets. What about the trade that they made to get Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce? That set that franchise back 5 to 6 years. And look where they've been.
And now they're planning on trading Dinwiddie.
Yep, there's been rumors about a Spencer Dinwiddie trade, and lost in this whole 28-win season that the Brooklyn Nets had. And the Brooklyn Nets are another team that I feel is in horrendous shape. Spencer Dinwiddie actually had a decent season for them. I mean, he was a take charge guy running the point. He was a good scoring option for them. Defensively, he wasn't really strong, but still.
There are teams that
a kid like him is somebody who other teams should be able to show interest in.
Well, like I said, from what I used to read from reports, there were a lot of teams interested in Courtney Lee, but they didn't want to give him up because they thought they could win now. They're stupid. Now they know they can't win now, just like the Brooklyn Nets. Right now, they're trying to build a system without any draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that fantastic trade, the Kevin Garnett trade, even though they were trying to win now,
yep,
that was a horrible trade.
That's an example of trying to win now and failing miserably at it. You know what they did? They channeled their inner New York Mets. They basically pulled a Bobby Bonilla and Eddie Murray and Brett Saberhagen and Vince Coleman thing.
And even now, Bobby Bonilla is still being paid for.
He's being paid until 2035.
Look at that, because they
literally
out his contract.
Because when the Mets released him, they agreed to this little side deal in which he would be paid $1 million a year every year until 2035. Even in retirement.
What will the Rangers do with Vlad Novacek?
That's a good question. At least the Rangers decided to go in the right direction and bring in a new head coach. And I'm also hearing that they might be drafting another wing. Who knows? Now, the team that I'm most happy about is the Islanders, because not only did they bring in Lou Lamoriello, they fired Garth Snow, who sent that team into purgatory, and they also fired their head coach. So now Lou Lamoriello can run the entire ship, which means he's going to be able, hopefully he'll be able to work out the same kind of magic that he did when he was running the Devils and the Maple Leafs and turn both of them into contenders.
Yeah, because John Tavares, he's one of those guys that you want to keep, and he's waiting to see which coach the Islanders are going to bring in to see. Now, would it be legendary Scott Stevenson? Maybe he'll
Scott
be good
Stevens? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Scott Stevens had a terrific career playing for the Devils, and I would think that he would make a pretty solid head coach somewhere. I don't know. Maybe he could do reasonably well with the Isles. I'm not sure.
Barry Trotz?
That's asking for a lot, because Barry Trotz just won a championship with the Capitals, and I'm not really sure what his contract situation is. If he can get Barry Trotz out of DC, that would be a coup in itself. But then again, what's his contract situation?
And also, he has to go through losing before he starts to win, because the Islanders are not in the greatest shape in the minor league system, nor up on the team either.
Nope.
Because they got to figure out who are they going to keep and who are they going to release, just like the New York Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Rangers are in a situation where they're trying to dump everybody to
Yeah.
start anew.
Mm-hmm.
And Ranger fans are going to suffer for about 2 or 3 years if they do what I think they're going to do.
This is not looking good for that franchise right now.
But they're trying to do something all over again, because whatever's worked in the past is not working.
Nope.
And you have all these teams. You have all these bad teams actually trying to do something. Either trying to wait for next year and the year after, you can dump peak player salary caps.
Mm-hmm.
And some teams you have to wait and hope for the best and forget the worst, and then you have to struggle in order to get better, and hopefully they'll be okay. They'll go in the right direction. But with the Devils,
Right.
where do you see them at?
They actually have a bright future, because after making the playoffs this past season and their number 1 draft pick, Nico Hischier, not being necessarily great, but playing a really solid supporting role, and also having Taylor Hall emerge as their best player. If the Rangers are smart, they try and build around those 2 young men. See if they can try and get some goaltending depth for Corey Schneider, who was pretty up and down at times this past season. Also, see if they can get themselves a third line scorer to try and support Hall.
And what do you think is happening with the other teams, such as the Clippers? What do you think of them, and how do you see them going?
The Los Angeles Clippers?
Yes. How do you see them going?
They're going in a totally different direction now, because now that they traded Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, no guarantee that DeAndre Jordan is going to be coming back next season. So that's a team that's definitely going to be rebuilding, which means they're going to be needing a whole new crop of kids at point guard, at power forward, at center. And it's interesting because the one kid that they might consider to draft went to the same college that DeAndre Jordan did, which was Texas A&M. So could it be that they replace one Texas A&M Aggie with another? Not really sure. But one thing's for certain. The Clippers are going to be looking for a big-time scorer and a franchise point guard to try and build around.
but they have also the number 12, the number 11th and 12th pick.
Yeah, it's a
They
good
got
thing that
pretty
they
high
have
picks.
back-to-back
They can
number
get
one
decent
picks right
picks.
now, because that way they can try and build with some kids who can help them out down the road.
They got some pretty good. If they can get some good players.
They definitely can.
They can get some good players. They're not in bad shape. They're in pretty good shape that they could actually get some, because 1 through 20, there's a lot of good ball players on there.
Mm-hmm.
1 through 20, you just don't know where they're going to land.
Yep. Recapping what happened just recently, we know that the Warriors won their third title in the last 4 years.
And
Finally,
they're not
the
going to the
Washington
President.
Capitals won their first championship in franchise history. Of course, it came at the expense of the expansion Golden Knights, who had a fantastic debut season. They're going to be a team that's going to be to look out for, not just in the Western Conference, but in the entire NHL next season.
Yeah, and as you said, as you heard and seen about the national anthem, you know what? Go back to the way it used to be. Players stayed in the locker room, and when the national anthem was over, come on out. That way, there's no problem.
There you
that
go.
Way you bite the problem. You bite it in the rear end. There's no problem. There's no problem of people saying, "Oh, they're unpatriotic." Yes, they're patriotic. They know what they're saying. You cut that noise completely.
There you go.
And what do you think about the Eagles not wanting another team that doesn't want to go see?
That's because President Trump wound up rescinding the invitation to the Eagles once he found out that a bunch of players refused to show up.
Well, that's the thing. How can you rescind something when players don't want to go there in the first place? If the players don't want to go there in the first place, and then he goes, "Oh, well, I'm rescinding for you to come." No, they didn't want to go first. So
I guarantee you the Eagles are not losing any sleep over not being able to go to the White House.
The Golden State Warriors,
they're not going either.
They're not going either. And I wonder why. I wonder why these players are taking more of a stand, especially against this particular president. With Daniil, he shouldn't have said anything badly about. He shouldn't have stuck his nose where it didn't belong when he came to the sports thing. He shouldn't have. Because that's what started. Because that's why NFL players are revolting, and they're trying to fight back. And the NFL bowed down to him, according to some reporters.
Yeah.
Some reporters say that he did the right thing. Some reporters say the NFL just bowed down to him.
Amazing.
So that's where you're at right now. You have teams that it used to be prestigious to go up there. Now they don't want to go up there at all.
Yeah.
Some want to go up there so that they can actually try to speak to this man and go, "Hey, listen, this is what's happening."
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a catch-22. But I know it's 7:58.
Yep.
You got to run. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
And I'll see you soon.
All right, and you get better, okay, Hector?
I will.
All right.
Bye.
Let's say thanks to Hector for joining us. Let's also say thanks to Kenny Graham on the other side of the glass for taking time out to run things over here. So, but for everyone, I'm Jamie. We hope to see you next time. Good night, everyone.